Welcome back to part 4 of our Shanda Sharer series. Oh my gosh, guys, we were knee deep into this cave. It's ridiculous. This has also been, some of these aspects has been, a trigger warning for me. Because I am a victim of sexual abuse, so I have to remind myself that. But, I do have a Patreon that you can join for early access for episodes scheduled to come out, such as season 4 I'm working on right now. I also have a merch shop for all your true crime gear. For any updates on my channel or podcast, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. With that being said, let's dive into these episodes. Continue on with our for part 4, shall we? Um, so sorry guys, I had to respond to some work stuff real quick. I do work 2 jobs, so you have to excuse me. Okay, so it did not take the prosecutor Guy Townsend long to bring charges against Hope Ripey and Tony Lawrence. On March 15, 1992, he charged both girls with arson and and battery with a deadly weapon, aggravated battery, criminal confinement, intimidation, and during the arraignment, the judge waived both into the adult system following their brief appearance that they were taken to Jefferson County Jail to await trial. Later that afternoon, Melinda and Lori were brought before a judge and charged with 7 additional crimes such as child molestation, criminal deviant conduct. A month later, on April 9th, 1992, the Townsend filed an additional count of felony against Lovelace and Tackett. On April 22nd, 1992, Tony Lawrence accepted a plea with the state in exchange for testimony against the other girls and a guilty plea to charge criminal confinement. Townsend agreed to drop all the charges against Lawrence, but this guilty plea, Lawrence would face up to 6 to 20 behind bars and ju- sentencing to the judge's discretion. Many people were angry about the plea agreement, but Townsend felt it was necessary in order for an eyewitness to have eyewitnesses for the state. Unmoved by the state's new witness, Melinda, Rippey, Hope, and Lori repeatedly turned down the state's offers to a plea. In response, Townsend filed the death penalty for specifications against Melinda and Lori on July 13, 1992. In addition, he filed another charge against both girls in conspiracy to commit murder. Because of Hope's age, Townsend could not file the death penalty specifications against her. On August 17, 1992, Tony was discovered slumped over in a cell, and she was rushed to Memorial Hospital where she was determined that she had taken an overdose of lorazepam, an antidepressant drug. It was also later learned that she had been saving her prescribed daily doses for some time now in order to make a suicide attempt. Lawrence was initially comatose and remained in intensive care unit for 11 days regaining consciousness. Following her recovery, the judge ordered her to be transferred to Live Spring Mental Health Facility in Jeffersonville for evaluation. And she remained in the custody of the mental health officials until October 1992, when she was transferred back to jail. On September 21st, 1992, Melinda and Lori decided to accept a plea bargain with the state. Both would plead guilty to the murder and torture of Shanda and to arson and criminal confinement. In exchange, the state would drop all charges and withdraw the death penalty specifications against them. The agreement specified that they both cooperate with the state, and they ultimately sentences were run concurrently. So, according to the book Krill's Sacrifice, I mentioned that earlier, so keep in mind, I'm probably gonna mention that at least a few more times before this is all over with. But go read it; it's really good. I do highly recommend it. It gives more insight to this case too, if you're like a reader versus listener. I know I'm not really good at podcasts, but hopefully I'm getting better. But anyway, just 8 days after her plea agreement, Melinda was caught having sex with an employee at Clark County Jail. The employee did resign, and Melinda was transferred to an Indiana Women's Facility where no charges were filed. In November 1992, Tackett and Lovelace attended separate plea agreement hearings in which they admitted that to the actions of the death of Shanda Sharer, and the judge set both their sentencing for December 14, 1992. The following day, Hope's trial date was for March 1st, 1993. Regardless of the crony's action, she continued to maintain her innocence. During the first week of 1992, Lori gave an exclusive interview to Chris Yaw in Cincinnati. And during the 5-minute interview, Tackett repeatedly blamed Melinda for Shonda's death. She would go on to say, "I didn't think she was going to go that far, in that it wasn't really the fact that I can't believe I'm doing this, it was more the fact that I can't believe this is happening. I told her it was stupid. Shonda begged me. She asked me not to let Melinda do it. She was crying and I couldn't do anything." Tackett went on to say that she expected to beat the charges against her and that she planned on pursuing a degree in child psychology. On December 10th, 1992, the judge accepted Tony Lawrence's plea in exchange for full cooperation. The reporters from all over the U.S. were already making their way to Madison in anticipation of the girls' sentencing hearings. On December 14th, 1992, the day of the sentencing hearing, Melinda Loveless television struck lines outside Jefferson County Courthouse. The courthouse was packed and reporters, onlookers, and family members. As the session began, the prosecutors were packed with reporters. Courtroom was packed with reporters, onlookers, and family members on both sides. As the session began, the prosecutor, Guy Townsend, described to the court the vivid details of the events and induction. Over the next several days, Tony, Lori, and several friends and acquaintances of Melinda were called to testify against her. Townsend also called Don and Ralph Foley and several members of the Sharer family. In the end, the most compelling and heart-wrenching testimony came from Shonda's mom, Jackie. She began a video which she called the photographs of Shonda at a different age. As the tape played, Vault narrated following her presentation. She also previously had written a statement course for approximately 45 minutes. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but yeah. I can only imagine what this mom went through. Like, that's how do you do that to your own child? How can someone take away your own child like that? I don't get it. But